ọmọ mo fi solùfọ́n lọ́nà tẹ̀rìn ìmọ̀dúró àti ń dúpẹ́ pẹ́wẹ́ ìgbà tí ń jù gbọ́ àti ń dúpẹ́ pẹ́wẹ́ ẹ̀mí tí ń lura wọn lọ ọmọ ewé ìgbà ní sóníyàn lófo lọ́jọ́ sí pẹ́pẹ́pẹ́ ìléwé ẹ̀mí ń lura wọn lóko ọmọ mo jẹ́ àlàrí mo bẹ́sẹ̀ là ní pópó olówó ọmọ tata bí ata ọmọ tata bí ata àti ń dúpẹ́ pátá tí ń tata dì ní mo dé àti ń dúpẹ́ pẹ́wẹ́ ẹ̀mí tí ń jura wọn lọ. ara ẹ̀kú ìkàlẹ̀ ara ẹ̀kú ìkàlẹ̀ àwa ọmọ ẹlẹ́rìn mọ̀sá lámì kìyìn ẹ ò ní rí ikú òjijì lórí ọmọ yìí o àdìjú nìyó wọn ló nílùú làábù wọn lẹ́ni àbábìrè làákìrè ọmọ náà ronú nìyí ẹ̀gbá olóde eegun wọn ò ló bàbá ìran ọmọ adé ọ̀sùn o ẹ̀gbá dúdú ẹ mú yìnrín fún mi ẹ̀gbá yìnrín mọ́sà ní tèmi màmá ẹ̀yìn lábọ̀ ìsà lójúde o ó lẹ́ni fẹ́ egun rí ilé ẹ̀tọ́ ọ̀run ni ẹ máa lọ àmọ́ èèyàn tí ń fẹ́ pàkárí ó ní ẹ bá mi relé àkọjẹ nìbàdàn àmọ́ èèyàn tí ń fẹ́ gbajúmọ̀ rí o ilé àdé ọ̀sùn yẹn máa lọ ọba lómo lóòótọ́ ìlú o ilẹ̀ lómo òsìkà ọmọ èèyàn tó ń hùwà bòsí bó pẹ́ bóyá ọlọ́run ọba àmú bàbá ẹ̀yìn gbọ́ tó nífà bẹ́ẹ̀ ní gbọ́ ta láwo apẹ̀lú tọmọ bàjẹ́ bàbá ẹ̀yìn tún ṣe mọ̀lẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ní tún gbọ́ tó nífà bẹ́ẹ̀ ní tún gbọ́ ta láwo bàbá ẹ̀yìn lẹ́ni tó fẹ́ ṣàǹfààní.
Oba AbdulGaniyyu is a ruler that many have come to see as a father. Even though he was not born on Erin-Ile soil, nor did he spend most of his youth on our land, our people grew to accept and love him even without knowing much about him. As we celebrate his life, which has been well spent in serving humanity with the great task and responsibility that comes with it, it is pertinent to know his story as we go back into history in finding answers as to who our Kabiyesi really is. We found out more than what we bargained for. Oba AbdulGaniyyu Ajibola Ibrahim Olusookun II, MFR, is a humane, unique, and special breed.
Ọlọ́run fún àwọn òbí wa láǹfààní wa ní ìjọ kejì oṣù kẹta ọdún 1942 ó tọ́ ọdún tí a fẹ́ ṣe ayẹyẹ iná àláwà ṣùgbọ́n ọjọ́ bíi mélòó tó kù tí ó fi pé àádọ́rin ọdún fáǹfààní ayẹyẹ ogójì ọdún tá a fẹ́ ṣe la fi pa méjèèjì pọ̀ kí ó lè bá yé àwọn èèyàn dáadáa àǹfààní tá a ní pé ní Gold Coast ni wọ́n ń pè ní Ghana lónìí ibẹ̀ ni ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ ìgbésí ayé wa àwọn bàbá wa ni wọ́n bá ọrọ̀ ajé lọ sí Gold Coast níjọ́ ọ̀hún àná tí wọ́n wá sọ di Ghana lónìí nígbà táwọn wà lọ́hùn la ní àǹfààní àti lọ sí ilé ẹ̀kọ́ tá a sì lọ ó pín sí bí ọ̀nà méjì àbí mẹ́ta torí àwọn bàbá wa tí wọ́n wá sí àlòkù wájẹ wọn ò dúró lójú kan náà bẹ́ẹ̀ bí wọ́n wá lọ káyìn ó fi yé àwọn èèyàn iléèwé tá a lọ káyìn ní government high school but being that àwọn tẹ̀lé nígbà tí àwọ̀ ìparí wọ́n wá padà sí ẹsẹ̀ àárọ̀ pẹ̀lú ọkọ̀ yẹn gan which is Philip Kweku Middle School so middle form 4 làwọn parí the secondary school level in 1956 Ghana gba independence. By September the 9th or so 1957 àpò àgbèrèwálé sí Nàìjíríà. Bàtà dé sí Nàìjíríà, a bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìrìn àjò wa ní ilé Ìsà ìlú Erin-Ile. Ẹni tá a dé sí lọ́dọ̀ àní ìyá àgbà fún àwọn bàbá tó bí àwa. À ń pè ní Alimat Fentola Bello.
A bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti mọ́ra ní 1958 nígbà tí mo wà ní primary school. Náà náà ṣe ti Ghana dé. Ìgbà yẹn à ń jọjọ́ ń gbé pọ̀ ní Iléṣà. Èèyàn ò mọ Ọlọ́run ní inú mọ́mọ́ téèyàn ó dà. Àmọ́ tí wọ́n ó dà gbà náà. Bàbá tèmi ní Éṣà nígbà náà. Ìyá tèmi ọmọ Elerin ni. So ọ̀dọ̀ ìyá mi ló dé sí Alájà Alimatu Fẹ̀yìntọ́lá. Ní ọ̀dọ̀ wọn ni wọ́n dé sí ìgbà náà. Mo sáré pé ìyá mi a máa kí wọ́n. Wọ́n máa kí wọ́n dáadáa. Wọ́n sì máa bá ìyá mi lọ ọjà. Ọ̀yán ni, ìgbà yìí ni, òfúfú ni wọ́n bá ìyá mi kiri ẹja. Owó yìí wọ́n ọmọ Elerin ṣe pé wọ́n pera wọn pé wọ́n ò kára wọn pé àwọn jẹ́ nǹkan. Bàbá mi tó ti dé sáńgbà náà a máa kọjá lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ bàbá mi náà mọ̀ pé ọmọ Elerin wa ìyẹn bàbá tó bí èmi nínú àánú mọ̀ pé àmọ́ bí ọ̀la ò ti rí.
I am Kabiyesi's cousin. We grew up together, and to God be the glory, we've been together all these 80-something years. We were very fortunate as children because our parents almost gave us everything we needed. While we were in Ghana, we went to the British Education School, and in the evenings we went to Quranic school. Through it all, Kabiyesi had always shown exemplary character and obedience to the parents. In all essence, is what you will call he was a good boy. Some elements of rascality must, of course, be apparent. But it was moderate enough for the family not to feel concerned. And part of it still exhibits in the street today.
After school, it was during the time of the colonial days, whereby if you want to have an education, you have to embrace the Orthodox churches operating within the west coast of Africa. That's, you have Roman Catholic and Christian Missionary Church or Society. So that also threw more light into my life, whereby we were encouraged to practice not what we are practicing today. Though they may not be here, the company is still in existence in Nigeria. They have given me life, real life, both in training that I underwent and in human capacity building. Different aspects of life were incorporated into one. education was not the only thing we got. We got every aspect of life, the way to live, right? The way to live, how to go about life.
Great men with peculiar tasks ahead and destined for huge responsibilities have been known to be intelligent. It is nothing new because intelligence is highly required in fulfilling the kind of task destined for Oba AbdulGaniyyu. His life has been full of merit upon merit, and he has been outstanding in all stages of his life.
The November, December, at Olusookun, àwọn aṣíwájú mi kan bẹ ní Kano, motor mechanic na wọ́n kọ́ UAC group of companies. Then ẹ̀gbọ́n wọn tá a dé sọ́dọ̀ ní Kano, àwọn wà ní Airways aerodrome ni wọ́n pè kí ni àwọn ẹjọ́ wọn náà. So wọ́n wá sọ fún wọn wípé ní ó dàbí pé ní UAC group of companies wọ́n náwọn schools káàkiri ní Kano automobile training school ni wọ́n wá sí common entrance exam sí àwọn schools tí wọ́n ní káàkiri Nàìjíríà. Wọ́n ní refrigeration and air condition lẹ́kọ̀ọ́. Wọ́n ní heavy duty equipment, that's Caterpillar and all that lẹ́kọ̀ọ́. Wọ́n ní electrical ní AT&P Sábẹ́lẹ̀ ní Midwest nígbà náà. Wọ́n wá ní marine engineering kẹ́ni òun ní ó embrace olùkọ́ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ engineering kẹ́ni jọ 5 years indentured apprenticeship. Free because must select you mama eme mamuka inu Musa Isa Kontagora ni èyí tó wá láti Niger, èyí tó wá láti Southern Zaria, Ilyas Bijimi ló kọ tiẹ̀. Ilyas ò bá parí 5 years òun lọ òkú àwa méjì tá a wá láti náà tá a parí 5 years wa. So under training àwa ní opportunity àti bá àwọn river craft ọkọ̀ ojú omi kéékèèké lọ. Wọ́n kó ẹrù láti ibi tá a wà láti Burújú tá a wà lọ sí up north during the dry rainy season. Wọ́n lọ rí kó ẹ̀pà, òwú and some other wá sísàlẹ̀. Burújú jẹ́ ojú omi. Wọ́n ní harbour níbẹ̀, wọ́n sì ní àwọn slipway tí wọ́n fi ń fa àwọn ọkọ̀ wọn sókè tó bá bàjẹ́ tó bá sì kí ni wọ́n yọ ọ́nù. Then wọ́n ní palmol níbi wọ́n ti ń ṣe epo pupa tí wọ́n ń export lọ sí ìlú òkèèrè. So there are bigger ships tí wọ́n wá kó epo yẹn lọ sí abroad from there to Lagos. So ibẹ̀ la wà ní àsìkò òjò tí àwọn ọkọ̀ bá dé the 3rd or the 4th year. Ó yẹ ká ní experience yẹn, ó yẹ ká wà náà ní ìrírí bí ká wá lọ Ọlọ́run fún wa láǹfààní àti ìdé. It was Yola, Mobi, Sadana, part of Sadana state tó wà ní North London láti kó gbogbo ẹrù wọn wá sí ìsàlẹ̀. So Ọlọ́run fi gbogbo ìrìn àjò wọn ẹ ó fún wa ní ìrírí oríṣiríṣi torí àwọn àdó tí à ń kàn láti ń dúró táǹkọ ẹrù táǹsì kankan ó sì díẹ̀ ìlú Mákọ́dí ibẹ̀ náà láti láǹfààní àti máa gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n wà lórí ọ̀nà ojú omi yẹn Onitsha ní Àsàpà gbogbo wọn bá wọn so ó fún wa ní àǹfààní tó pọ̀ tá a fi wá lo ọdún méjì yẹn tá a fi parí tá a fi gba certificate burúkú ní wọn ní ká wò dúró sí a lo ọdún bíi mélòó kan ní burúkú kó lórí ìgbélá kú àwa sí Kaduna lọ́dọ̀ aṣíwájú mi kan òun náà ni ó wà ní àbúrò ẹni tí mo lọ rí bá ní Kánò so ọ̀dọ̀ ẹ̀ láwà Ọlọ́run tó wá sí náà sí àǹfààní fún wa pé wọ́n ń béèrè àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ àwa apply ìgbà ẹni wọ́n fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ Nigeria Sugar Company ní Bashita that was 64 ti sugar tí wọ́n establish Sugar Company gan so I apply wá sí Bashita aláwádìí ṣe ìgbà bí ọdún 15 kó tó dùgbò láàpò àwa ń bẹ́ẹ̀ àgbéga ń dé bá wa lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ títí tó fi di pé ní àwa di maintenance superintendent engineer.
Who can match Kabiyesi in terms of hard work, dedication, honesty? Who? I've not seen. Kabiyesi is highly knowledgeable. Knowledgeable either in engineering or even the local politics. One thing I cherish about people, particularly him, is the honesty. You see, you have to understand. It was just a mere coincidence that we come from the same village, or in this case, from the same town. Mere coincidence. Otherwise, his approach to doing things matched 100% with mine. So we never had any disagreement or misunderstanding. Never. It couldn't have a reason, because we will look at issues, right? That was the matter. And because he was open to me and I was open to him, maybe our Ghanaian background also played the role. Because you see, we don't like this corner thing. It is or it is not.
Àwa wálé nígbà tí ẹ̀gbọ́n mi dá ilé-iṣẹ́ tiẹ̀ lẹ̀ ní Erin, which is total engineering company.
The hard-working Kabiyesi showed the time he was going to leave Bashita. That was the time I discovered that he had not gone on leave for so many years. So this leave was now converted into, the previous leaves were now converted, and he was able to go to Germany to study nail making, engineering. And the nail factory that is in Erin-Ile today, Kabiyesi personally went to Germany. He used the equipment in Germany. They were used equipment we imported. And when he was coming back, he packaged the equipment and he came back to Nigeria, and he was the one who installed the equipment now in the total engineering factory in Erin-Ile.
Awale in 1980. 81, wọ́n ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ń rí ẹ̀rọ bàtà wà dé àwọn àtìkù wa installation, that's à ń rí ẹ̀rọ iṣẹ́ àwọn tí àwọn ẹ̀rọ tá a fi ń gé èso ṣe nǹkan.
Total engineering factory. At that time, the standard nail producing factory maybe the first of it in Kwara State. Unfortunately, the vagaries of business in Nigeria made total engineering not to progress beyond a period of 9 years.
I know Kabiyesi is very, very intelligent. One of his attributes, not just acting on impulse. He will ask questions about whatever. I could remember there was a time the principal of Erin-Ile secondary school went to choose a principal, and we recommended somebody to Kabiyesi. And well, that is from Elerin here. Was nominated to go and see Kabiyesi. Well, when I got there, after the usual banter, greetings, I told him my mission. I mentioned the name of the person. But the question he asked is that, are you sure this fellow loves Erin-Ile? Well, I told him as far as we are concerned, because I was not the one that sent myself, it's a group of people that sent me. As far as we know, this fellow loves Erin-Ile. Are you sure he can man a school of this magnitude? We now ask, where has he worked before to be able to convince him that he is capable of running the school? It takes somebody of intelligence to ask such questions.
He was pragmatic in all his decisions and actions, and above all, he was honest. So, in another words, I would say it's an MPH: merit, meritocracy, pragmatism, and honesty. He was a man who had merit in everything he did. Those were his qualities. He was the engineer in the total engineering factory, and from there he ascended the throne of our forefathers.
Akudele, Ari, abẹ̀rẹ̀ ṣe èso. Gbàlọ́ tọ́lọ́wọ́ gbèsè rẹ̀ dé, àyè ó ṣí sílẹ̀. Sẹ́ni kankan nù wá tá a rò kàn yí pé nítọ̀ báwo tiẹ̀ ni. Bó di jọ́kẹjọ́ oṣù kẹsàn-án ọdún 1981 tí àyè baba ńlá wa kò di ṣí sílẹ̀.
There is a saying that beside every successful great king, there must be a queen. This story can only be complete with the story of our queen. Just like every other marriage, theirs was not all rosy and perfect. Yet, it's a decision Oba AbdulGaniyyu remained thankful for till date.
Ọlọ́run kọ wípé tọ́ èmi olórí náà ni a jọ lo ìgbésí ayé wa. Torí nípìlẹ̀ ní ìlú wọn lọ́ọ̀ ni àti bẹ̀rẹ̀ nípìlẹ̀ rẹ̀. Tọ́ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìrìn àjò ẹ̀dá sì ṣe máa jẹ́ nìkan náà lẹ́ẹ̀ ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n nígbà náà Ọlọ́run kọ ìpè nítọ̀ kò sí àfihàn, àwa náà ò sì mẹ́nu bà. Ọ̀sẹ̀ ìyàwó mi àti ọkọ rẹ̀ 1966 66 kó tó dìgbà yẹn tá a wálé àti ìdí ààyè ọmọ ẹ̀rin ló yẹ kí n fẹ́ tí àwọn bá a ṣe tọ́ ní jọ̀wọ́n àná alárinà ti lọ wọ́n ti kà sí àwọn ilé àná àti dáná wọ́n ti lu sẹ́lí ṣé ẹ máa ń tí wọ́n gbé sẹ́lí.
kábíyèsí o.
wọ́n ti lu sẹ́lí pé wọ́n ti yọ̀ǹda ọmọ fún wa ṣé ọmọ pẹ́rẹ́gì tí wọ́n ń sẹ́lí tí ń kú òní a máa dùn lọ́lé àná tí wọ́n bá ti wá yọ̀ǹda wọn fún yín tó lu sẹ́lí àwọn ilé yín ó lọ rí sí gbogbo ẹ̀ wọ́n sì gbogbo ẹ̀ àti yanjú gbogbo ẹ̀ báwọn tó bá sì dára wa àwa wálé kíyèsí ilẹ̀ àwọn olè à ń ṣe kíní gangan lágbájá kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ àrígbé ní ọlọ́run ti dá n tó bí tí ò jẹ́ kí a fẹ́ra wa a máa kìlọ̀ fún yín gbogbo ìgbà ìgbé ní abẹ́rẹ́ ẹni à ń ṣe kíní gangan tọ́lọ́ ò bá kọ́ ń pọ̀ kò sí báwo lẹ́sẹ̀ lè ṣe so ọlọ́run sì ṣe lọ mo láǹfààní àti lu Èkó nígbà yẹn láti bá ìmọ̀ sí wọn bá ti dá mi ò tí kú ọlọ́run bá kọ́ olórí mi òun náà wá sí nǹkan òun ní ṣíṣe lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ àwa pàdé mọ́ àyẹ̀dọ́ bóyá bọ́lọ́run ti kọ́ ọ̀rẹ́ àjò mẹ́rin pé ńgbà tá a ti ríra báyìí báwo ni asábàárà wa sọ̀rọ̀ ó wọ̀ tọ́ báwo ni a ṣe lọ rí àwọn òbí àwọn tí mo máa ní torí gbà tá a wà lọ́dọ̀ wọn lọ́rùn láti ríra bọ́lọ́run ṣe kọ́ tí a fi di lọ́kọláya nù láàrin mo wá fẹ́ kí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ èèyàn mọ̀ mi ò kàn pa torí ọmọ kìrìsìtẹ́nì lòun tí a baptise ọmọ ìjọ kálíkì ni mi ò kàn pa gbéra àbí kó gbẹ̀sìn mi ọlọ́run ló kọ́ òun gan lónìí báwo lèmi ó sì máa ṣẹ̀sìn kan tó náà máa ṣẹ̀sìn mi bó so dìgbé ní ọlọ́run kọ́ ìrìn àjò wa tó wà dùn mọ́ra.
In fact, aláṣìírí mi mo dúpẹ́ because for the past how many years mo fẹ́ 50-something years now mi ò dẹ̀ ní regrets lóòótọ́ àwọn olóyìnbó ní there's no road without a bend a ní ups and downs wa but alhamdulillah ọlọ́run kápá gbogbo ups and downs wa ọkọ mi jẹ́ nìkan tó jẹ́ pé kò lápọn as a husband ó wà understanding as a father àbíamọ ni in fact yẹn gan-an ó jẹ́ kémi gan-an kí n fún wọn ní total submission torí bàbá tí ò bá fẹ́ràn ọmọ kí ni wá ní àìmọye bàbá tó jẹ́ pé
bàbá ọmọ ni
bẹ̀tọ̀ wọn ò rí bẹ́ẹ̀ wọn fọmọ ọmọ wọn ṣeré wọn ò dẹ̀ fèmí náà ṣeré in fact ibi tá a wà yìí adúpẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run.
Apart from all the great qualities like honesty, straightforwardness, kindness, gentility, and many more that Oba AbdulGaniyyu possesses, he is so good that he delegates and entrusts important sensitive responsibilities to his subjects. That is another thing unique about Oba AbdulGaniyyu. In some situations, the trust he has on them enabled the entrusted to give back the more to the Erin-Ile community.
Bí àti àwọn bàbá kábíyèsí àwọ̀ra gidi gan-an nítorí pé àwọn bàbá tí ẹ bá ti súnmọ́ wọn wọ́n ń fún yàn láàyè láti ṣe ohun tí ó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe. On occasions, Kábíyèsí has asked me to represent him in one or two of the meetings with the government in Elerin here, and we have been able to represent Kabiyesi very well.
This incident happened when we had a clash with one of our neighbors, and His Excellency Bukola Saraki was the governor of Kwara State. Who had to be a bit more confederacy or Elerin of Erin-Ile, in his bold self and self-assuring, only Timmy Barry escort and won't attend to your call. How and the government house in Johnny, I have what Sinja Umba. What would this governor do to an old battles of Niwa and 15 come by Shelley? Because I can pay 2 or 3 of us pay buying on liar. Attribute Kenya get head on the liar, only face the consequences. One okay. About the Commissioner of Police. When the Commissioner of Police, I'm Olusookun, I'm offering Elerin pé mo need there will be put tell. That time it was a war time. And then the Commissioner of Police had to go appeal to Baba in Erin-Ile. He followed them. And when he came, the whole thing changed. You know, Shemo at Joko Sinu hall. You might tell Elerin they won't change in it. Okay, Elerin. Shemo when the state in Abenyi. Elerin ni party to state. Everybody was happy because of his intelligence and education. Because of his intelligence and education. Otherwise, all about me, I'm a Tony. The governor, he did not even bother. He didn't even blink.
Kábíyèsí wọ́n jẹ́ ẹni tí wọ́n máa ń fọkàn tányàn. Tọ́n bá sì fọkàn tányàn, téèyàn bá ti disappoint wọn, wọ́n ó tẹ̀síwájú láti máa fọkàn tán. Fún ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọdún, lẹ́tà heading Kábíyèsí tán fi máa ń kọ ìwé, wọ́n ó ti sign rẹ̀, wọ́n ó stamp ẹ̀, ọ̀dọ̀ mi ló máa ń wà. Tọ́n bá wá fẹ́ kọ̀wé àmì ọmọ tọ́n bá ti pè mí bá mi kọ̀wé kò nídìí pé ẹ wá sign àbí kíní kan, nǹkan fi déètì síbi tí wọ́n ti sign. Yóò bá sẹ́ni tó fọkàn tán yàn, wọn lè ṣerú ẹ̀. Èmi náà sì dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run, I did not disappoint him. Mi ò lo ìwé wọn for anything personal throughout the period.
When the community is in need of transformer, he called me. He said, community is in need of transformer. I brought a transformer right from Lagos. Big transformer, like 500 kVA transformer, 33 kVA. I brought it, the transportation, the truck, all the material, everything expenses. I brought everything and then put it in the palace. That Kabiyesi, this is for the community. And secondly, when some transformer require repairs in the community, he called me at Lagos. He said, there are some transformer at Erin-Ile that require repairs. That what can I do about it? So, and I sent some people to the community. That time I've left the service, so I would have even carried out the repair and everything. But I sent people. When they negotiated with Kabiyesi, but it happens that he was expecting their second invitation. The invitation didn't come again, and that thing ended that.
For every person who is a light that is destined to illuminate the life of many others, there are signs both in the individual's words, actions, and his personality. Oba AbdulGaniyyu had always exhibit some characteristics and telltale signs in different parts and times of his lifetime of a greater responsibility and destiny awaiting him. Many said Kabiyesi being chosen as a king came as no surprise to them.
Tuti àwọn pé kò lápá kò lẹ́sẹ̀ o ẹni tó lọ́n kan lè dá ni.
Kabiyesi was very dynamic. In fact, often when we would have a party, you know, after 1 or 2 bottles, he will come out with this area of oh yes, I'm going to be the next king. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, you know. And we were all happy, you know, for him for that. Even though he knew he had to go through the process. But he displayed the character, the charisma. I remember when Shaba became governor of the state, right? Shaba used to be my boss, but my very good friend. While in Bashita, Alhaji Shaba would never go outside the country or within the country and get to Bashita without first coming to see me before going to his house. And guess what? When Shaba was the governor, he did everything possible to revive the waterworks in Erin, along what do you call it? That is Ijabu area. And most often when he went there, he would find Kabisi either on his way there or there before him. And I remember him exclaiming that, oh, no wonder, you are the Kabisi indeed. That should tell you, among other things, how hardworking, committed Kabisi was, is, and will always be, in spite of his age.
Somebody who gave you food, somebody who assisted you, somebody who accommodated you, somebody that cares for you in terms of your future, your career, how you live. And in fact, if anybody should do that, it's somebody someone cannot forget. When you are looking for water, somebody that gave you water. When you are looking for food, somebody that gave you food. So he has tried a lot in my life, and it did not stop at that level, because I could realize that he was not selfish. As long as he's a selfish man, he wouldn't have advised me to further my education. And after saying all this thing, I realized that some people have been there for 20-something years, 30-something years. That if I should remain 30 years in this place, I don't think I can go higher than senior supervisor. At that time, what is senior supervisor? So, but if you go to school, once you are there, once you graduated, in fact, they place you at higher level, and there is provision of moving higher. So, all those things, he led me through it. And that is not enough. Where we even work, he was a shift superintendent. What I mean by shift superintendent? In an engineering company, in the night where you are running shift, somebody must take care of the shifts. So in case there is any problem, it is that fellow you will report to. And he was doing his job diligently. And that is not all. The other thing I studied about him, that even when he was civil supervisor that time, because he was supervisor when I left Sugar Factory. But my concern is that those that are heading the organization, like the chief accountant of the whole company, like the chief engineer, the factory manager, they normally come to his house. Not him going to his house, they normally come to his house. It was from that moment I realized that God has a plan, a program for this man. So when he eventually became the king, honestly, I'm not surprised, because it's what he has been, God, the way of his life is working or tailoring towards that directive. Because throughout my stay with him, if I'm not mistaken, we stayed in his house for 5 or 6 months or thereabout. He never offended us, me and my brother. He did everything accordingly. The normal advice he used to give, he will give. So with him, honestly, loving to humanity, he possessed it. So that's why God compensated him for what he has done.
Governor of Kwara State, one of them in the recent past, he called me. He was asking, "Ṣé ọmọdé yín náà lọ́ba yẹn ni àbí wọ́n gbé wá láti ìlú?" Your Excellency, bí mo kí wọ́n máa gbọ́ bá wá láti ìlú kó wá jọba sí ìlú mi, kí wọ́n dẹ̀ dákẹ́. Ìgbà yẹn, it was just about 20 years. It was about 20 years on the throne. I said, it's our own, God given. God installed him. God gave him the life. God gave him everything. And God has given him virtually everything any human being can ask God to give him. It's good health, good family, good wife, good children, communities follow him, nobody is kicking against him. It's not, how will I say, it's not ordinary. So we like one common thing so we about the phone lẹ́yìn kábíyèsí wa. Above all, Ọlọ́run ló wà lẹ́yìn wọn.
The 8th of September 1981 was a day the status, lifestyle, and way of life of Oba AbdulGaniyyu completely changed. Was it a transition that was welcomed? Was there any regret? What was the feeling like?
Jọ́kẹ̀jọ oṣù kẹsàn-án ọdún 1981 ní àgbà ìwé pé wọ́n yàn wá ní Elerin tìlú Erin-Ile. Ẹ mọ̀rọ̀ ìjọba ẹ̀tọ́ tó yẹ ká ní kí wọ́n ti ṣe fún wa ló jẹ́ ká bọ́ sí 1982 torí tíjọba ò bá ti yọ̀ǹda fún yín pé ní kẹwàá gba ọ̀pá àṣẹ àti gbogbo nǹkan èròjà rẹ̀ yòókù ẹ̀ lè ṣe ló jẹ́ ká mú ọdún 1982 nígbà tá a gba ọ̀pá àṣẹ ìjọba àti èròjà rẹ̀ ní èyí jáǹsì ṣùgbọ́n jọ́kẹ̀jọ oṣù kẹsàn-án yẹn ó ṣe pàtàkì dáadáa gan ó ṣe pàtàkì tá a wá gba ọ̀pá àṣẹ ọba nípò kejì and ọba ipò kejì tá a gbà Ọlọ́run náà ló bá sí Ọlọ́run ló bá wá sí torí àwọn alámúlétì wa ò tiẹ̀ fẹ́ gbọ́ pàápàá ṣùgbọ́n ẹ̀rìn ẹ̀yìn lẹ fà ó ẹ̀yìn lẹ fà á torí ń tẹ́ ẹ dálẹ̀ ńgbà náà ló fa ẹ̀ ń lo ẹ̀yìn tó fi di pé ní wọ́n fẹ́ ká bí ọbẹ̀ nípò kejì ṣùgbọ́n a dúpẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run gbé ní Ọlọ́run bá wa sí Ọlọ́run ló bá wa sí tí a fi rí ọbẹ̀ nípò kejì gbà nígbà náà bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni àsìkò ipò kíní tí a wà lónìí o Ọlọ́run ló bá tó àárín ẹ̀ náà.
Worked as the secretary to Local Education Management Board then in Ofa, and all the senior officers of the local government had their residence in Ofa that time, which has been abolished now or destroyed by the politicians. However, it was in one of the quarters that I was then that I sent for the then Ajibola Ibrahim. Then he came to me. When he entered, he met me and my wife and children. We just stood up and said, Kabiyesi. The first ovation to be given to him as Kabiyesi was in my house. And we presented the letter to him. Then he instructed me to inform the people at home that we should go to Ile to set for the drummers for his arrival. Then I invited all the people in Daudu's compound who now sat down, we welcomed with loud ovation, and that is how the whole exercise went.
Elerin is one of the important natural rulers in Oyo. I'm talking of the old Oyo, including Ofa. And Erin-Ile, of which Elerin is the headquarters, the next largest town in that area. He started as a second-class Oba, and it was the pleasure of God, the grace of God, the mercy of God that got him upgraded from second class to first class.
Tọ́ ara ń tá a fi ń pe Kazeem tá ń pe Kazeem yẹn òun ni gómìnà ń gbà náà òun wá ní Sam àwọn ọlọ́fà ní èwo ni gbogbo wọn ní múra kankan pé mẹ́ta ni wọ́n fẹ́ kí ó di first class kí wọ́n má fún èmi Erin Kazeem béèrè pé ní wọ́n sọ ìtàn wọ́n sọ ìdí tó jẹ́ pé ní èmi ni mi ò ní lọ sí first class gbogbo ẹni mo fi sọ kò sí gbogbo bí tẹ́ ẹ bá lọ tí wọ́n ṣe fún yín kò tí a fi ń lọ ikú rẹ̀ Kazeem ọkùnrin sójà gidi ni ló wà ní ẹ̀sọ̀ tán ẹ̀sọ̀ tún máa yìí tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ kí so gbogbo ọ̀rẹ́ ọlọ́ba èmi ní pátìkì ànágbà náà ní gbogbo wọn bá wọn wọ́n sánilá Kazeem wà gbà fún wa ní à ń fi jẹ àǹfààní first class lónìí.
Our impression of an Oba at that our age was that the man sits idle in the palace here, he does not go anywhere. We were worried. What was Kabiyesi going to do? One of the things we have done is where we are now. This place had to be renovated. We were even planning to build a tennis court because I cannot imagine somebody waking up in the morning till night and he doesn't go somewhere. He was for 5-6 years in Basita, he didn't go on leave. That kind of man, suddenly one day you tell him to sit down. And that's how now we are seeing that scientifically you age more when you are sedentary than when you are actively walking about. Kabiyesi was trying. He will go for some works, but because you know, Kabiyesi cannot just go anywhere in the night or during the day to say he goes for a walk. The whole town will start following him. He becomes a parade. So that is the nature of the job. So, but we thank God he is coping tremendously well with it, because that's why sometimes he gets an overseas trip. I'm always very happy, because you know when you travel, your real identity is placed aside. You can now be yourself. You can enjoy yourself. You can enjoy what other citizens can enjoy freely. But that is the onus of the responsibility. What he can do abroad, he cannot do in Nigeria. What he can do elsewhere in other towns in Nigeria, he cannot do in Erin-Ile. If Kabiyesi want to challenge that view now, let him get out and try to walk to the main road. You will see the whole town start following him. You have no privacy. That is the nature of the job.
After coronation of Oba AbdulGaniyyu Ajibola Ibrahim Olusookun II, MFR, Kabiyesi adopted the name Olusookun II. Not only did he become a first-class Oba from a second-class one since his ascension, he also became the paramount ruler of Ibolo and Onyu Council of Obas. He is a leader par excellence to both his community and our neighbors.
Erin-Ile, as an ancient town, we have history. We have genuine history. Erin-Ile confirmed history shows that we migrated from Ile-Ife some centuries ago. The prince that originated this migration, he looked around all his other brothers, he saw that he could never ascend the throne of Ile-Ife because he maybe was like number 13 or so out of all the possible princes. So himself and his friends and some of his immediate brothers decided to find their own destiny. The journey was very long, but when they came to this point, the usual oracle that they consult said, this is the place. So they stayed. So that is how Olusookun I became crowned. Both legitimate aspirants to the Elerin throne today, they must originate from Olusookun I. Otherwise, it's fake. òun ni kábíyèsí ṣe jẹ́ Olusookun the second. He could have been kábíyèsí Oba Ibrahim the first, but he decided to go into history to trace his ancestry to be sure that that lineage is kept vibrant. So tí wọ́n bá ní ọba kan jẹ́ ọmọ ní nǹkan ò kí ń kó bẹ́ẹ̀, this applies 100% to kábíyèsí. Kò fẹ́jú jẹ oyè yìí, kì í ṣe torí pé ó lówó ń bì kan àbómọ̀yàn ń bì kan. This is an inheritance and it showed ngbà tí gbogbo contestants dìde. Contestants mẹ́wàá náà dìde níjọ́ tí kábíyèsí fẹ́ joyè. Àwọn joyè jọ́ náà Ọlọ́run fún wọn ní ọgbọ́n àti òye. Wọ́n rò lọ sókè, wọ́n rò lọ sísàlẹ̀, wọ́n rò lọ ẹ̀gbẹ́, wọ́n consider àwọn kan pé wọ́n ti máa ń dún iye tipẹ́ and so forth. But wọ́n wá come to conclusion pé at last ọmọ oní nǹkan ló dé. Comparatively 40 years at that time was very young, still probably very accessible to whatever the vagaries of enjoyment that young men attend to, but they chose him because the gods of this land decided that it is him that is the next Oba. For our Kabiyesi, he has been ordained to be where he is today. How he will get there, that is a matter of course. But thank God, the destiny has been achieved.
Can you imagine Ooni of Ife living in his palace? Wa Elerin wá sí Erin-Ile. Ọba Aláàfin. Kájọ́ wa máa sọ àwọn ọba kékékékékékékékékéké. Wàtọ́ ló tún wá pọ́n Kábíyèsí wa lé. He made him the chairman of all the obas in Ọ̀yọ́ local government area. Àpọ́nlé ńlá.
Bàbá ní alága ìgbìmọ̀ lọ́balọ́ba ní Ọ̀yọ́. Aṣíwájú rere ni wọ́n. Gbogbo ọba tí ń bẹ lọ́yàn pátá náà wọ́n gbà pé aṣíwájú ọ̀hún ni bàbá àwọn sì ní pẹ̀lú nítorí pé gbogbo tí ń bá ti ń ṣe ìkan nínú gbogbo ọba Ọ̀yọ́ ní í ṣe bàbá, ẹni àátẹ̀lé ni bàbá, ẹni tí máa fúnni nímọ̀ràn ni bàbá. Gbogbo ìgbà tí èèyàn bá ní ìyọnu kan àbómi ní àdúgbò rẹ̀ tí ọba ti dọ́dọ̀ bàbá tó sàlẹ̀ fún bàbá tí ń ṣe bàbá ó là ọ́ lọ́yẹ̀. Gbogbo ìgbà tí nǹkan kan bá sì ti bá ọ, bàbá ó gbéra, wọ́n wàá bá ẹ. Gbogbo ọba tí bá wò ṣe pé tí mo gbọ́n ní báyìí láṣẹ bí bàbá ṣe ń kó wa jẹ̀nu pẹ̀lú ọgbọ́n àti òye àti ìtọ́sọ́nà.
There is a saying that a good leader which will serve a test of time must be a one that supports and make other leaders. Oba AbdulGaniyyu indeed have been a mentor and source of inspiration to others before he became king and many after he ascended the throne. There are many pioneers amongst notable sons and daughters who have also been part and parcel of local, state and federal politics during his reign.
Right from my childhood, we've been able to interact, we've been able to be talking, to be doing everything together. So it was not somebody new. I can go back as far back as 1963, 64 and so on. Kabiyesi, I just saw him coming to our father. I did not even know what they discussed. But after discussion, my father told me that Kabiyesi wanted to see me and my senior brother, which we went to him. I believe we got to him. He said, Baba approached him, that we people are looking for a job. I said, yes. He said, when are you coming? Tentatively, we just told him, if I could see the college, we mentioned that Tuesday, that following week Tuesday, we'll be with us. He said, once we get to Elerin, we should search for Maraba Garage. From Maraba Garage, we get bus going to, or pick, that time it was pick up, 404 pick up. There was nothing like these buses they are using that time. He said, by the time you get to Bashita, you just tell the driver his house, where he stays, and they will take us to the house. And exactly what he says. So we got there, he accommodated me and my brother, and he even got employment for us in January 1976. 1973, and I left that place in 1977. When we were with him, he never relented. He said, in Nigeria, without education, there's nothing you can become. Like at this level, we only be marking time that it is ideal for us to further our education. And he tried. In fact, that time I was even looking for overseas admission, but there was nobody to sponsor. I tried joining the Air Force. From Kwara, those of us that left, in fact, they shortlisted us to just about around 3 or 4, but they said they only needed 1. And that time it was somebody from Ofa, they called him Swara, that was taken. So when I came back, he said I should not relent, that I should put up. So there was nothing I could do. I was looking for an opportunity before I got admission into Kwara Tech. I've started when I secured overseas admission at Poland, War University in Poland. But I was about to round up my OND program. I said, why should I go and start something again? I decided to complete my OND. Immediately I graduated, I was given an appointment by Kwara State government, which I taught for a year at government technical school. It was just a year. So after that 1 year, before I later proceeded to National Electric Power Authority before changing the name to Power Holding Company of Nigeria. So it was in that place that I rose to the position of the AGM before I finally disengaged or retired in August 2013 as a result of privatization of the organization. All my career, I may say, right from grade level 8 to 15, everything was under power industry. He has done a lot. Even when I wedded, the role he played by doing something and even by presenting us gifts. This is somebody that we always advise you, looking after someone's progress. So he really tried. It's a man I can never forget.
As he came on, the first commissioner in the state. Before then, one reckon Boluluwa, one reckon Erin-Ile, àwọn neighbors, àwọn tajọ state mates, tajọ kan náà, one reckon Boluluwa, but the matter is David. We had the first commissioner from Erin-Ile, and then since I was the beneficiary of what I'm saying, as at that time, Baba Saraki was the leader of the leaders. His office was at Investment House, Lagos, Broad Street. When he came to campaign in Erin-Ile, he promised Elerin of Erin-Ile that he was going to, for the first time, do something different for our community. I picked that. So I went and met him in Lagos. I was also in Lagos. I just went to his office one day, an investment building. Your Highness, you gave a promise to Elerin. You also did that you came to campaign in Erin-Ile. He said yes. He said they brought somebody who was going to be the commissioner. I won't mention the name. He said, but you, that you are bold enough to come and meet me in office and ask me, can't you be? And you know, as I was to remind you, to read duty in our new politics, show me consider one state. Then he said, okay, if that is the situation, you can go back. He wrote a letter, give it to me. I said, give it to Elerin. I said, I'm not going to Erin-Ile tomorrow. So any day you go give him. As at that time, Shaba's government was in place. He's been sworn in. So when I got to Elerin, I gave him the letter. He opened it and he said, congratulations. So I was looking at somebody else was with me. And an agitator walked in and he said, this is the first time I've been to have something so spectacular in our community. And it was then Kabezi told me that Saraki asked him to recommend somebody. From the first one the party chose, and my humble self was I really ready to leave Lagos to come here? I was having my swell time in Lagos. I was putting all those things together. Kabi said, you are never this opportunity. So I called Wafe budget, turn from a platter of gold. When you don't need it. He gave me a letter. I took it back to Saraki. The long and short of it was that it was his time that brought in political recognition to Erin-Ile, starting with the first time we are going to have a commissioner in the state.
Kábíyèsí kọ́kọ́ fẹ́ràn gbogbo ọmọbìnrin Erin-Ile náà pé kí wọ́n grow kan jéèyàn kan ní position kan lágbèéga gbogbo ibi tán bá wà. Nǹkan tán tí mo rí tán ṣe lórí àwọn obìnrin ni lórí mi gan ni ká ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. Èmi tí mo jókòó yìí kábíyèsí fẹ́ràn mi gan torí ó mọ̀ pé socialist ni mi mo máa ṣe mo gbáfẹ́ so ó wá promote mi wọ́n dúró tì mí gbogbo tí n bá lọ bá wọn kábíyèsí mo fẹ́ ṣe báyìí wọn ló ti yá àwọn yòókù náà bọ́n ṣe ń ṣe sí wọn nìyẹn o gbogbo tí mi ò lè dákọ wọn tán gbogbo ọmọ bíbí ìlú Erin-Ile tó jóbìnrin náà fẹ́ kán jéèyàn kán sì lè lọ síwájú. Lásìkò kábíyèsí lẹ́yìn tí mo jẹ ọmọ lójú ọba Ọ̀fẹ́rìnlé mo jóyè mí náà o bọ̀tí ìlú mi òní náà ni màá sọ nípa rẹ̀ wọ́n ṣe ipa gidigidi lórí mi nígbà tí wọ́n nominate mi ní kí n ṣe honourable member kí n tó sọ honourable member ni wọ́n kọ́kọ́ fún mi ní vice chairman TIC ibi mo ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ nìyẹn always supporting me gbàtí mo kúrò bẹ́ẹ̀ mo tún ṣe LO liaison officer to Bukola Saraki when he was the governor of the state lẹ́yìn rẹ̀ mo tún ṣe SA méjì mo ṣe SA non-governmental mo tún ṣe SA rural water lẹ́yìn yẹn ó wá ṣe kan elective position which kábíyèsí ní láti dìde obìnrin lélẹ̀ ọmọ wa lélẹ̀ ó gbọ́dọ̀ wọlé election wọ́n pe series of meeting obìnrin wọ́n pe obìnrin wọ́n pe ọkùnrin wọ́n pe community àwọn ìjòyè ẹ jẹ́ kó mọ̀ yírọ́ náà lọ ẹ jẹ́ kó wọlé in fact he did very well wọ́n ṣe dáadáa.
For the first time in this community we have a son of the soil representing of Ifelodun and Onion constituency ní House of Representatives ní Abuja. I think for the first time tí ó máa ṣẹlẹ̀ ní yàtọ̀ sáà tó ti lọ State House of Assemblies during his tenure àti local government administration tí àwọn ọmọ ìlú tí wọ́n dìbò yàn àkókò wọn náà ni.
A giver, in turn, received. It's no wonder the Kabiyesi was awarded with a National Recognition Award of Member of the Order of Federal Republic, MFR.
Enugu, Lord. Now call you me when àwọn ní program tó ń fẹ́ sí láti fẹ́ kí n wá tó jọ́ fún mi láwọ̀ yóò mọ ẹnìkan kan so mo wá pé NUJ president tó máa lọrin tí jẹ́ pé tí mo rí ni wà ní àkóso ọ̀nà well established kìíní ní ẹ̀láyé colonial ruler mo rí òdìdá n wá lọ pijó mi 504 òní mo ń lò pẹ̀lú mọ́tò òní kakura wa dà ọkọ̀ báwọn pẹ̀lú àlú àwa lọ. So unfortunately ìjọ tí wọ́n ṣe grand finale tí wọ́n fi invite mi gan mo sọ fún ẹ pé ní lónìí lè mẹ́kẹ̀ torí mo rò bí yà ń gbà wẹ̀ àbí àfẹ́sọ fún mo wá ní àwọn reserve mi tí n bá wà anytime àwa tá a lọ fún ìjọ náà àtòbí mẹ́ta àbí mi some governors wà ń bẹ bá wa lọ níjọ́ kejì àpẹ ká tó dán wọn díẹ̀ ní bóyá tó wáyé pé láti tètè ní mo bá ṣe presentation fún wa tí a so that tilẹ̀ bá ti mọ́ níjọ́ kejì á máa lọ wọ́n bá ṣe eré lápẹ́dé àgbà award àṣekínní wọ́n bá ní ǹjẹ́ mo ní national award mo ní mi ò ní pé mo ti ń apply bí ẹ̀ẹ̀mejì abẹ́ ẹ̀mẹ́lò wọ́n ní màá sì rí lókè tó kí wọ́n á ní gbogbo ń tẹ́ pé afúnkínì náà wà wọ́n bá ní kí n wo project àwọn táwọn ń ṣe gbogbo wọn kọ́ àwọn ilé kankan wáyé èmi ò múra gbogbo eléyìí wà but màá fún yín ní nǹkan tó fi jẹ́ pé ní ẹ máa tẹ̀síwájú ó bá wo tá a mú lọ wọn kà yọ 50,000 bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo bá fún un so bá a ṣe wá délé wọ́n wá béèrè pé kíní àwọ́ọ̀dù yẹn kí n jẹ́ káwọn ọmọ ibi tí mo bá dé bá kó gbogbo owó èmi mo kọ́ kó wọn rán ní sí hàn in fact títí tí mo gba award àwọn ni náwó you can imagine Enugu Abuja ó ní wàhálà àwọn ẹ̀ ń pọ̀ kẹ́nẹ̀ wọn ní kí n sáà ní sùúrù ìdùnnú àwọn ní kí n rí tọ̀ ọ̀nà kìíní mo kọ́ ìpè ní con ni mo ń fẹ́ àpèrè adélọ́dún ní àkóràn létí tí wọn bá délé o pé ọ̀rọ̀ kìíní yóò já pátá èmi ń sàǹbá Enugu lọ bó wá di ọdún wo ni ọdún ènìyàn wá pè mí pé ní àwọn àti rìn jìnnà pé kémi náà gẹ̀ẹ́tì letter from my chairman, that's Emir, Kono send letter if you recommend Oba fún. He did well for recommendation. I sent this here. So I'm Amura. But I go with him. One thing select and what you see can wọ́n ní dáa ni mo mọ̀ mo lè mi rùmẹ́ni kankan níbẹ̀ àwọn náà tí mo gbé kìíní lọ́ọ̀nì ẹ wá mọ̀ èyí tó fọ́ọ̀nì bẹ́ẹ̀ ńgbà tí wọ́n kéde àwọn Kwara mo ti lọ rí bá gbogbo wọn bá àwọn ẹsẹ̀ jì ó kà kú bí ijọ́ kejì à ń ti ń gbọ́ ànígbọ́ fífi ní wọ́n bá sáré dé wọ́n bá ní credentials mi ń kọ́ mo ní kí lórí kílẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ bí ṣe wọ́n ní àfẹ́ lù wọ́n ní lídà nìkan wọ́n máa wà kí lẹ̀ ń wà fún ṣé bí mo bá yín níbi ìtẹ́ni ńlá kóró ms kóró nìkan náà ní recommend even gàfárò sí mbẹ ọjọ́ kújọ́ kejì àbí nǹkan bàbá Bukola bá sáré ṣe kìíní mbẹ sóńgbà tá a gbọ́ announcement èmi àti kóró nìkan náà ni gbàwá d'Abuja tí a ṣe accreditation bá ń bó kọ gàfà múná gàfà lu àgbọ̀n kankan dàbí kú lé kẹ́nìkan mọ̀rò kan yìí pé ní Kwara onírò tó play nínú award mi torí òun nípa tí a kò ṣe kiri èwo ni inú ọ̀rọ̀ wa pẹ̀lú àwọn alámúlétí wa ni a bá lọ rí kọ̀wé gbọ̀nàgbọ̀nà wípé ní mfr tọ́ sí mi pé ọlọ́fà ló tọ́ sí àbíkọ́ bí orí àlẹ́ta ẹ̀ kí n gba mfr ọ̀fà ọlọ́fà ló yẹ kó gba mfr mo ní mo gbọ́ sẹ́mi sá ti gba mfr èmi náà wọ́n fi hámà rẹ̀ tẹ́ bá kó pọ̀ mi tẹ́ bá fi mfr ẹ̀rì pọ̀jù mo rí ta lọ́jà o mo ta mfr lọ́jà stock market mo ta bó ṣe dìgbò ní ọlọ́mùbá síta gba mfr wálé nù member of the order of the Federal Republic.
I was the one that wrote the application. You know, you have to write application to Abuja, people who are giving them. As at that time, Oyato was the local government chairman. So, Kabisi sent for him. They came to the palace. And I said, okay, Oya Moses, control of Ekolekani. And I wrote that these are the qualities that we have observed in our Oba that makes him to qualify to be honored by the body in charge. After writing it, he read it, he was satisfied. He said, okay, I should give it to Oyato, our local government chairman then. He saw it too, so he signed it. Kabiyesi himself signed it as an applicant, and I signed it below. And lo and behold, Kabiyesi, apart from Emir of Elerin and Shatta of Patidi, is the next person that is honored nationally now, I'm not talking of local something, no. Nationally with MFR. So in the whole of the, whether it is emirate or it is Obaship or it's whatever, traditional council in Kwara State, Elerin is number 3 out of about 20-something of them. Are we not lucky? And he has been using that position for the benefit of the country, because that MFR is a key that allows him to open many doors.
All great men ever lived faced challenges. Oba AbdulGaniyyu also had his fair share of it.
Ẹ máa dúró di àsìkò Ọlọ́run. Àwa tí Ọlọ́run tètè gbàdúrà ńgbà tó ṣílẹ̀kùn ayọ̀ rẹ̀. Àwọn kan tó wá kó wọ́n tún dojú kọ wa. Pé kí làwa rí, kí làwa ṣe kíní gangan. Nígbà tó Ọlọ́run ní àsìkò tó tá a farabalẹ̀ tá a sì mí. Wọ́n fò bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ à, wọ́n fi ìyàwó mi lọ à, wọ́n pe àwọn kò sí tí mo ṣe. Ṣùgbọ́n mo ní eléyìí o lọ ní tèmi, a sì wẹ́lú mi lẹ́yìn rẹ̀.
Our family have a very strong character. You cannot really bend him. He will listen to you. But if his mind is made up, God help you. What he says he's going to do is where he will go. Because what Kabiyesi will not accept, he will not accept. No matter who or what or under what circumstances. That is his character.
Torí ngbà tí wọ́n fẹ́ joyè, ó mì mí lọ́kàn o. Torí mi wá from this parts of the country. Ẹ̀rù bà mí, but luckily for me, my mom, may her soul rest in peace. Mo pe mama pé bye. Pé mo tiẹ̀ fẹ́ wá rí yín. Mom mi wá ní ó fẹ́ wá rí mi, mo ní ẹ. Ṣé kò sí? Mo ní kò sí o. Wọ́n ní kọ́kọ́ mi wá jọba. Mama ní ṣé ìyẹn ló wá fẹ́ rí mi fún, wọ́n ní ẹ. Ṣé tó bá wá rí mi ó wá tún padà lọ àbí bó ni? Mo ní mo fẹ́ wá sọ fún yín náà ni mama wá rẹ́rìn. Mama ní nǹkan táwọn á sọ fún ẹni pé kó wà prayerful, one, kó dẹ̀ ní sùúrù. Bó dẹ̀ ṣe ń ṣe pẹ̀lú ọkọ ìtẹ́lẹ̀, má jẹ́ kó change. Àwọn wá ṣọ́ra o, because you have boys mostly. Má wá ṣe nǹkan tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n máa fi pìtàn fáwọn ọmọ ẹ̀ lọ́jọ́ ọ̀la. Ìtàn bí bó màmá. Wọ́n ní oní ọkọ ìfẹ́ jọba, ó fẹ́ wá rí mi. Ṣé ó fẹ́ sọ pé ọkọ ẹ̀ ò kì í ṣọmọ ọba mọ́ ni? Àbí mo lẹ́rù bà mí ni màmá ní wọ́n gbàdúrà náà ni bí kò sí nǹkan kan. Àti ìyá sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ fún mi, mo sunkún o. Instead mo wá pe ọmọ mi. I think then I had the boys and a daughter. 2 other daughters padà kún wọn, but I had the boys and the daughter. The daughter was small. Mo wá pe gbogbo wọn wá jókòó. Àwọn sitting room àwa lọ́fà ń gbà yẹn. Ẹ̀yin ọmọ o, ṣe rí nǹkan tó ń lọ báyìí. Àwọn kan nú wọn ní mọ́mì bó lẹ́ ṣe mo ní kò yé mi ló jẹ́ ń pè yín.
Forward ever, backward never. That was my motto, and that's still what I'm going with now. Illiterate, the educated ones I met in the community who were championing the cause of this community, because I was the first, or I'm the first educated Elerin. There was a lot of problem initially, because what the illiterates were doing then, they were the spokesman of the community, the spokesman of the Elerin. Whatever is going or coming, they have to have a say. and I didn't quarrel with anybody. But what I did was, look, God created you, right? He gave you certain things. That's it. He gave you knowledge. So let me use my own as God has planned. That's what brought about the first joker between me and the elite. Like for instance, the governor is coming, which is what they do cash on before. You know, they need to write an address, welcome address or something that will be presented to the governor or anybody. Let me manage my own English. So I was not waiting for anybody. And this became a big problem.
Very principled. And you see, you could be principled, and at the same time, that being principled could make you arrogant. But we thank God that in the making of our Kabiyesi, he is very humble. You see, this humility must be dwelt on a little bit, because sometimes some people misunderstand humility for either cowardice or somebody you could just walk over. I think people that have tried it have regretted ever trying such a thing, because under that very humble face, there is a very strong and determined character behind it.
If you have an input to what I want to do, bring it. Bring it. I would add it to what I am doing. This is the aspect. Even the community generally, right? A lot of challenges, but it's better. Lifestyle, obi tia, tomati yama, don't be around. And to buy nígbà yìí wọn yóò rí pé òtún ẹ̀sìn kò sí ní jẹ́bà wọn ò yára wọn àtọ́. Ó ń wà níbòmí o, ó wà tó di ẹ̀jẹ̀ pé náà mẹ́rin jòwó. Torí àti ilé ìbòmí tó jẹ́ pé ní ilé ìwà gbóná, ògbó ẹni ó gbóná. Gbogbo wọn sì kóra wọn, wọn fara wọn mọ́ dáadáa. Ẹni bóyá ẹ̀mí bẹ́ẹ̀ ni. Níbi wọn tí a sún tí a fẹ́ràn ara wọn dé, gbogbo wọn náà wọn fẹ́ràn ara wọn, kò sí yọnu. Ọlọ́run ti kọ́, Ọlọ́run ní kéèyàn máa dúpẹ́ fún, ní máa ṣe tí a kọ́, ní máa ṣe tí a náà sì kọ́. Ọlọ́run ò sì tí a bá wọn, kò pè tí a bá wọn. Ọlọ́run ṣàkọ́ báyìí ṣe bán àwa náà sì gbà wọn.
Oba AbdulGaniyyu is a man who has always been good to both his lineage, together with family and friends. Maintenance of kith and kins increased, and it's more stronger after he became the Kabiyesi, the Elerin of Erin-Ile.
Bàbá dáa níwà púpọ̀, bàbá sọmọlúwàbí kó tó lórí oyè. Bàbá tí wọ́n á di orí oyè tán, ọmọlúwàbí náà tí wọ́n á pọ̀ sí. Àmójútó ọ̀rẹ́, àmójútó ara, àmójútó ẹbí, àmójútó ìlú. Ìgbà tí wọ́n ti jọba, ìlú dùn, ìlú fẹ̀, ìlú gbòòrò sí dáadáa. A rí olówó rẹpẹtẹ, a rí ọ̀mọ̀wé rẹpẹtẹ.
Ìtẹ̀síwájú ó wà fún àkókò tó joyè lára fún 40 ọdún náà sísè. Gbogbo ọmọ oṣù náà ìwà dáadáa ni. Ìdí tó jẹ́ ó dé yàrá dáadáa ni pé tá a bá dọ́dọ̀ rẹ̀ láago kan lóru, bó bá ṣe láago kan lóru ló sọ̀kalẹ̀ látòrí òkè, àádìjọ fi kún lókè, àádùmọ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ ìtẹ̀síwájú gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìlú ẹ̀ ló ṣe dáa. Bí àdúgbò kan bá ń dàrú,
gbogbo tá a bá rí nípa rẹ̀ á sọ fún ó sì mójútó gbogbo ó sì ṣètò ní àkókò tiẹ̀.
mo dúpẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run pé ó fi sórí oyè bó ṣe dé orí oyè òun ọ̀rọ̀ èmi rẹ̀ very close ọ̀rọ̀ láwálé ló yẹ kó joyè tí yóò jẹ tí yóò gbé fún ọ dẹ́nì mọ̀sẹ́mọ̀ tí màá bá sọ fún because we are so close mo close mọ ju ọkọ mi lọ́sẹ̀ ọkọ mi á ní Gani àti ìmọ̀ tó lè sọ̀rọ̀ tẹ̀mọ́ disturb wọn o we are so friendly títí dé orí ìlú ìyàwó wọn gan wọ́n mọ̀ mí mo dúpẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run Iliasu second born wọn ó rò bẹ́ẹ̀ mi mo bí i pẹ̀lú bàbá ti kọjá lẹ̀ oní àgbà bí ọmọ ó dẹ̀ ń try nínú ilé family mi púpọ̀ kò fi mí sílẹ̀ èmi náà bí mo ṣe kódà òun ló ní kí n má wá sẹ́rìn má gbà mo dà àgbàlagbà yìí nítorí mọ́ mi ìdájí ẹ̀rín ní tèmi.
Oba AbdulGaniyyu is widely accepted as a ruler with great qualities, who is known to ask questions and never goes back on his words. Some people's perception on Kabiesi's strictness and difficulties can be troubling. Yet, many who knows Kabiesi attested to the fact that Kabiesi is a good listener and can be very accommodating.
Because àwọn kan wọ́n ní wrong impression pé Kabiesi lè ṣùgbọ́n tèmi mọ̀ Kabiesi ni pé tẹ́ bá gbọ́rọ̀ lọ sọ́dọ̀ Kábíyèsí wọn ò dàbí àwọn kan tí wọn ò ní béèrè tàbí kí wọn ó wádìí gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹ̀sìn tàwa Bíbélì ní ká wádìí ohun gbogbo dájú ká di èyí tí ó bá jẹ́ òtítọ́ mú ṣinṣin. Kábíyèsí ó béèrè ẹ̀ẹ̀kan lè gbọ́rọ̀ wá kẹ́sì gbé kalẹ̀ kí ó sì gbà á gẹ́gẹ́ bí olóyìnbó ti máa sọ pé hook line and sinker no. Ọ̀tán bá béèrè tẹ́ ẹ bá sì lè fún wọn ní èsì tó kójú òṣùwọ̀n tán rí pé n tẹ́ni yìí sọ ọ̀rọ̀ ni wọ́n ó gbà sí yín lẹ́nu ṣùgbọ́n kéèyàn kàn dé pé báyìí kí wọ́n sì gbà bẹ́ẹ̀ no ntọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa sì ṣe nù ó yẹ ká máa ṣe tán bá mú ọ̀rọ̀ wá kéèyàn ó béèrè bó ló ṣe rí bẹ́ẹ̀.
Kabiesi is so accommodating. He welcomes everybody to the palace. I want to tell you a funny story. There was a time I was with Kabiesi, sitting side by side. And then one community man just came. Kabiesi greeted and that kind of thing. So he interrupted our discussion, but Kabiesi waited patiently to hear what the man was going to say. And so he said that somebody snatched his wife, and because of that, he's not happy and things like that. And he went on and on and on. And then Kabiesi was going to respond. And I said, please, Kabiesi, wait. Let me respond to him. Say, Mr. Man, somebody snatched your wife. He said, yes. Because that person is stronger than you, isn't it? You two go and snatch somebody's wife, and then we all busted to laughter. You know, that kind of thing. So because the Kabiesi is ready, and that's why he spends a lot of time attending to people. Whatever they bring, he will try to create an atmosphere of openness to be able to address the situation.
Baba is a very humane monarch. In fact, he's your quintessential monarch. He's the one you'll be very proud to have as a monarch. And he's a monarch like no other. In the sense that many monarchs all over will be difficult to approach. But Baba is somebody you don't need to have an appointment with before you see him. He's always welcoming people. And whatever your affairs you have with him, whatever issues you have, just walking to him, he's always welcoming you. And he's always having a listening ears and always ready to provide useful advice. He is a very good unifying factor in the community, and God has used him to bless our community. There have been many developmental projects during his term, and we pray that Almighty Allah will prolong his life on the throne.
Many positive developments, growth, and changes are notable in Erin-Ile since the beginning of Kabiesi's reign. Any person can say whatever, but Erin-Ile has been more better than the way Kabiesi met it.
Tútù ìwà ìrẹ̀lẹ̀ bí àdàbà ní ọ̀bẹ Elerin. Ìgbà tí ó jẹ oyè ìdàgbàsókè wọ̀lú ọmọ ìlú wọn gòkè. Nígbà wọ́n jẹ ọba ní ìbí ọkọ mi ó ti late nísìn ló jẹ permanent secretary ní Nàìjíríà.
There are radical changes, welcome changes, productive changes. Administration, for instance. Elerin is one of the important natural rulers in Oyo. I'm talking of the old Oyo, including Ofa. And Erin-Ile, of which Elerin is the headquarters, the next largest town in that area. He started as a second-class Oba, and it was the pleasure of God, the grace of God, the mercy of God that got him upgraded from second class to first class. In the realm of education, Erin-Ile has made giant strides. It is in its time that have a lot of secondary schools established in the place, and a number of graduates, doctors, professors emerged from the educated population of the community. Besides, it is in its time that we have advanced from secondary education to tertiary education. That is with the establishment of J College of Education, which was started in its time, completed in its time, operating in its time. It is our hope that granting more favor by God, granting greater life by God, university will be established in his town, in Erin-Ile, during his reign, if that were the will of God. So I felt that these two changes in education are so cardinal that they are worth mentioning, as I have done now. In the area of peace, there's relative peace in the community. There cannot but be some brushings, some religious brushings, some personal brushings, some social brushings, but when you consider it in its totality, you find that Erin-Ile enjoys greater peace than it used to be before his reign. We are not unconcerned that the problem between Erin-Ile and its her immediate next neighbor, but that has to happen. It is not a strange thing there, but by the grace of God, the whole thing is subsiding now, and everybody is enjoying his or her peace around the place. So he has made it. It was only in an atmosphere of peace that a community can progress. If there is upheaval here and left, it will not be easy for any community to make any calculable and any sustainable progress in the vicinity. So with the peace that is there, there is progress in the life of the community itself.
The achievement has been numerous. By 81, how many houses do we have at Okiodo? Very few. Today, it has extended even to almost Ilaudo. None towards Olowe. It was during the time that that area developed. That Olowe side, the college side, there was no building there before its arrival. Today, we have the buildings left and there. This area, there was no, even this building was not there as at that time, because I started this building in 82. Then towards this other side, there were no buildings.
The then light between area, there were no buildings. We have buildings. There were no buildings towards a railway station. We now have the building. To God be the glory. The town has expanded beyond imagination. And there was no single road that was started except the main road. But today we have most of our roads started. In terms of education, by the time it came, within the first 6 months, Surajuddin College was added, Christ Comprehensive was added, Moje College, Moje Secondary School was added. And later we now have this College of Education. Health Comprehensive Center, it was in its time that was converted to Health Hospital. And the town hall was not completed. He completed the town hall when he came. And the first Erin-Ile was actually done by him. He invited me to be the chairman of that Erin-Ile, the Central Working Committee. To God be the glory.
When an Oba ascends a throne, the whole community and the town has a choice. You can either go up, or you go down, or you remain stagnant. Erin-Ile had become very, very dynamically progressive during this reign. We thank Almighty Allah for that. By the time we finish his term, because all terms must end. Some of me now speaking, we thank Almighty Allah that he gave me the overtime. So by the time it will end, Erin-Ile will never be the same. What we met on ground is not what we are having today, we thank God. So that is the situation we are in. It is unfortunate that we have this perception of, if you are not for me, you are against me mentality in there. And it pains me a lot if at every point in time my people don't appreciate him. It is not for me to say. Those of you who have been home on a continuous basis will have seen how much he took part in doing everything possible to help the town. And I think that is what is going, on for him. And I'm very, very happy. Very, very, very happy. I just pray that the people of the town, his subjects, will reckon with everything I'm saying and give him all the support he needs to improve the well-being of everybody in there. He is the right man for the job. He has my 100% support.
40 years on the throne, I pray. I'm a prayerist. I want him to spend another 40, too much a day of time. He should spend another 40 years. It's very possible. It's very, very possible. As he ran into 130 years, and it's only in bed read. Otherwise, 80, and he's still agile. I know so many women, they are falling head over head for him. I know as I was following him. Kabawasi Lorin, I know very attentive to. Officially, privately, personally, and like I told you, he was entering everywhere. Because he became
Baba's 40th anniversary. There's no more to say than to give thanks to Allah. Baba living this far, we give glory to Allah Almighty. Baba has been there for 40 years with a lot of achievements. Some don't see it as an achievement, but we that know them, we know it's an achievement. We thank God for his life. Now Baba is marking 80 years. To mark 80 years on the throne, stay on the throne for 40 years, to mark 80 years is not a joke. We thank God Almighty Allah. Baba has been good to all. know how Noah in a community. You will see those who will envy Baba and will say Baba is this and that. But we that are close to Baba, we know all the effort Baba has been playing to all the subjects of Erin. Baba wish all Erin, all on you, wish them good.
When it comes to the three dominant religion and management of their affairs, the Kabiyesi has been a good pillar, and there have never been any serious case of internal crisis within or among the different sets or tenets of faith. Not only does the Oba praise, he also enjoyed to take part in prayers or to receive them. Amongst last words, the chief imam, Khan chairman, and the Oluawo of Erin-Ile and other well-meaning people of Erin-Ile and beyond prayed for the community and Kabiyesi Oba AbdulGaniyyu Ajibola Ibrahim Olusookun II.
Ọba tó mójútó tó máa ń ṣàdúrà ní bàbá wa. Ó máa ń gbàdúrà lọ́wọ́ àwọn Mùsùlùmí tó pọ̀. Ó máa ń gbàdúrà lọ́wọ́ Christian tó pọ̀. Àti Christian àti Mùsùlùmí, bàbá ṣe wá ní ẹyọ kan ṣoṣo. Ó dẹ̀ láìkí wá, bàbá máa láìkí wá. Bàbá láìkí Christian, ó láìkí Mùsùlùmí. Ó tún láìkí àwọn ẹlẹ́sìn àbáláyé yẹn. Ó máa ń pè wọ́n dá sọ̀rọ̀.
The mere fact pé wọ́n survive for 40 years on the throne is commendable. Tí èèyàn bá wo àwọn ọba mi tó ti jẹ even after him tí wọ́n ti kọjá lọ. Then tí èèyàn bá wo àwọn crisis within the community and external aggression tí wọ́n survive, I think worth the celebration, and it's a good quality of leadership. You know, you can't do without crisis, but ability to manage the crisis is commendable on the part of Kabiyesi. The society is dynamic, so you cannot do without having some skirmishes here and there, misunderstanding, especially in the community when you have people to pay their stock in trade is to sow the seed of discord. But he has been able to manage the crisis fairly well without much rancor existing within the community.
Adúpẹ́ ní ọ̀dọ̀ Ọlọ́run tí a bá wò dáadáa ká jọ pé ìwà bàbá bí ìwà ànábì ni sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni ìwà bàbá wa Kábíyèsí ti ọba Elerin Alhaji Abdulganiyyu Ibrahim Olusookun ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì. Bàbá náà Ọlọ́run yóò gùn lẹ́mìí sí kí wọ́n kásìkí wọ́n máa pọ̀ sí kí ìlú wọn máa dáa sí. Tí ẹ bá ní kó máa sọ nípa bàbá wàyí táwọn òdó ní mọ́tàlá ilẹ̀ àtúnṣe tábà ní ká máa kà á kò ṣeé kà. Ètò wa parí rẹ̀ níbi ìwà bàbá. Èmi àti àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ mi Mufasiru Alhaji Idris Ọlọ́runkẹ́mi a lọ síbẹ̀. Ìgbà wa débẹ̀ a kanlẹ̀kùn wọ́n ní ẹ dákun ta ni wọ́n ní ìmáàmù àti àwọn èèyàn rẹ̀ ni wọ́n ní ẹ dákun àwọn ń bọ̀. Wọ́n wá rí ibi dá wa lóhùn táwa fi lọ wọ́n ní ká padà wá. Ó wá dijọ́ kejì wa padà lọ. Ìgbà wa padà lọ bàbá wa ń bẹ̀ á pé kí ẹ má bínú ẹ dákun pé àwọn ò dá lóhùn lánàá. Olóyè kó máa bẹ̀ á kí là wà olórí ìlú. Wọ́n wá ní kádàkùn ká má bínú. Bọ́n ṣe dá wa lóhùn lánàá ó ká àwọn lára bí wọ́n ti máa ń ṣe nìyẹn. Tẹ bá wá bàbá lọ tí ẹ bá wà lórí òkè èyí tí ẹ máa ń pé ọba ó di ìṣẹ́jú márùn-ún àbí ogún ìṣẹ́jú àbí ojú ẹsẹ̀ náà ní wọ́n sọ pé kí n máa bọ̀ bí ọ̀rọ̀ bàbá ti jẹ́ nù. A tọrọ àdúrà fún bàbá wa Kábíyèsí ọba Ajibola Olusookun kejì. Bó tilẹ̀ ṣe pé iṣẹ́ owó yẹn náà ni máa ń tọ́yàn. Bí èèyàn bá ń ṣiṣẹ́ àdúrà tá a máa ń ṣépè lé àdúrà náà ni ó máa bá a. Téèyàn bá sì ń ṣiṣẹ́ pé tá a máa ń ṣàdúrà fún un nígbà tá à ń wà náà lé náà ni. A tọrọ ẹ̀mí gúngùn fún bàbá wa Kábíyèsí kí Ọlọ́run Elédùmarè ọba aláàánú kó jẹ́ kí ẹ̀mí wọn gùn. Àfọ afẹ́ kó gùn nínú àìsàn tàbí nínú ìyà kí Ọlọ́run Elédùmarè kó má fi àìsàn kó má fi dá wọn lọ́lá kó sì jẹ́ kí dáadáa lọ Erin-Ile kó jẹ́ kó túnbọ̀ tẹ̀síwájú lásìkò tiwọn. A tọrọ àdúrà fún ẹbí ará wọn náà gbogbo ìlú Erin-Ile lápapọ̀ àtọrọ ìlọsíwájú kí Ọlọ́run Elédùmarè tó ṣílẹ̀kùn ọjọ́ òní kó jẹ́ kí ìlọsíwájú kó jẹ́ kó bá ìlú Erin-Ile.
Gbogbo ọmọ Erin-Ile mo máa sọ fún pé obìnrin ló máa di ilé mú. Ìlú tí obìnrin ò bá grow yóò pẹ́ kan tó grow. So kí àwọn obìnrin wa mo máa ń pè wọ́n personally ẹ jáde. Kéèyàn jáde kò mí ní pé obìnrin ni mí àbí wọ́n mọ̀ sọ pé ǹdọ́kọ ni àbí wọ́n mọ̀ sọ pé ìyẹn kọ́ là ń sọ. Ẹ̀yin obìnrin ẹ jáde ẹ participate in politics ẹ participate ní gbogbo nǹkan ìlú tán bá ń ṣe. À ń bẹ Ọlọ́run kó dá owó sílùú wa. Àmín. Kó jẹ́ kó ọmọ ìlú wa rọ́wọ́ mú. Àmín. Kó jẹ́ kí ìlú yẹn tẹ̀síwájú. Àmín. Àwa ní lẹ́mìí kúkúrú. Àmín. Gbogbo wa yìí á jèrè ìlú. Àmín. Pẹ̀lú àlàáfíà ara á jèrè ìlú. Àmín. Ó yẹ kẹ́nu wá kò lórí gbogbo tá a bá fẹ́ ṣe. Ọlọ́run 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 à ń bẹ̀ ọ́ ni jẹ́ kẹ́nu wá mọ̀ kù. Àmín. Jẹ́ kẹ́nu wá mọ̀ kù. Àmín. Jẹ́ kẹ́nu wá mọ̀ kù. Ká mọ̀ mọ̀ takora wa a fi ọlá rẹ bẹ̀ ọ́ Ọlọ́run a fi ògo rẹ bẹ̀ ọ́ a fi títóbi rẹ bẹ̀ ọ́. Ìlú Erin-Ile má jẹ́ ó dàrú. Àmín. Ìlú Erin-Ile jẹ́ kó gòkè. Àmín. Tọmọtọmọ wa gbogbo ibi tí kálukú bá wà ìwọ Ọlọ́run bá dàbò rẹ̀ bò wọ́n. Àmín. Bá dàbò rẹ̀ bò wọ́n dàbò rẹ̀ bá wa náà ta wà lé o má jẹ́ pàdé gbénigbéni má jẹ́ ká pàdé alágbàkọ.
Ọlọ́run gbàdúrà wa Ọlọ́run gbàdúrà wa Ọlọ́run gbàdúrà wa. Àmín. Alálẹ́rìn ó gbé gbogbo wa pátá àti ilé àti ìdálẹ̀ àti gbogbo bí a bá wò wá alálẹ́rìn yóò gbé gbogbo wa pátá. Adúpẹ́ tó fún wa ní ọjọ́ tó fún wa lásìkò tá a ní a fẹ́ yọ̀ sí ní lójú ẹ̀lú gbogbo ohun tó ti ṣe fún wa láàrin 40 ọdún yìí kó dákun kó jẹ́ apẹ́ ká tó lágùn lẹ́mìí. Gbogbo ìlú Erin-Ile kí ọ̀rọ̀ wa ó máa di ọ̀tun 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 gbogbo nǹkan mèremère tá à ń ti ń fojú sí látọdún àìníye kó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí wọlé wá kó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí wọlé wá ká má rí àwọn olùdẹ àwọn kan ń bẹ tí wọ́n jẹ́ olùdènà kò sí ń tẹ́ lé ṣe kò sí ń tẹ́ lé sọ bí wọ́n wà náà wọ́n wà. Ọlọ́run bá dárí jẹ́ o Ọlọ́run bá dárí jẹ́ o Ọlọ́run bá dúà wa Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kó dáa.
Many of Oba AbdulGaniyyu, Ajibola Ibrahim, Olusookun II, MFR subjects, and other lovers of Erin-Ile have plenty of good messages to say regarding Kabiyesi's upcoming 80th birthday and coronation anniversary ceremony.
This anniversary is a testimony to the Almighty Allah and His greatness. That someone like me could be witnessing this anniversary, I am indeed eternally grateful to the Almighty Allah. Because when we started this journey, in the wildest imagination, I didn't think I would last this long. But we thank the Almighty who arranges all things, who knoweth all things, that today this is happening and we are alive, hale and hearty, all to the glory of the Almighty Allah.
Adúpẹ́ fún Ọlọ́run tí ó fún wa ní àǹfààní àti rọ́jọ́ òní. Àsìpẹ́ pé Ọlọ́run fi bàbá ìta lọ nílùú Erin-Ile. Tàbí ká máa tẹnu bọ̀rọ̀ bàbá àásọ àníṣọtán. A rí pé Ọlọ́run ọba ti dúró ti ìlú Erin-Ile látàrí pé ó kọ́kọ́ fi bàbá ìta lọ rẹ̀. Gbogbo àwọn lọ à ń bọ̀ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ẹjọ́ ni níbi lọ ni Ọlọ́run kí wọ́n máa kún wa. À ń rí wọn dé bá à ń rí wọn fún lábọ̀. Àbá sì ń lọ à ń rí wọn tí wọ́n ń wà lẹ́yìn wa gbogbo gbà. Ó jẹ́ kí ọkàn balẹ̀ pé gbogbo tá a bá ṣe Ọlọ́run ó fọwọ́ sí. A sì rí àpẹẹrẹ pé Ọlọ́run fọwọ́ sí orí pé gbogbo èyí tá a ti ń jà níwájú ilé ẹjọ́ Ọlọ́run fún wa ní àṣeyọrí ńbẹ̀.
We give glory to Almighty Allah for sparing the life of our father. Baba to us in the political circle, I believe whoever that occupied political position in this community, Baba one way or the other do have an input. What can be likened to King Solomon, King David, all in the Bible or all these religious papers. Baba is an epitome of humility, an embodiment of character that cannot be equal anywhere. Though some people do misinterpret Baba because Baba is principled. But if he trusts you, if you build trust in him, if he builds trust in you, wherever you are, we always be supporting you. Baba on his way to Elerin, it was after the crisis between us and our neighbor. He's very God bond. That's the type of Baba we have, just because of the community. So I wish him the very best. Ọlọ́run ló ra ẹ̀gbẹ́ Baba fún wa. Baba ò jí Ọlọ́run ni, bí wọ́n bá ní ṣáájú Ọlọ́run làwọn lọ́balọ́ba. Baba is a typical one.
Àgbàdo ẹ̀kọ́ kábíyèsí tí Ọlọ́run dá ẹ̀mí wọn sí láti àkókò ọjọ́ ẹ̀bí wọn títí tí wọ́n gbà àkókò yìí tí wọ́n tún lo 40 ọdún mìíràn lórí oyè gbogbo ọba pẹ̀lú wọn ọba lọ́rẹ̀ ẹ̀mí wọn ọlọ́jọ́ ẹ̀bí wọn gbogbo oyè ní bá lọ́wọ́ wọn àti ní abá lórí oyè Ọlọ́run ó ní ìmọ̀ kò ní ní ó dìbàjẹ́ mọ́ wọn lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kẹ́mi wọn gùn ìlú Erin-Ile Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kó dára Ọlọ́run nígbà ìlú Erin-Ile jẹ́ gbogbo ọmọ ìlú Erin-Ile lọ́kùnrin lóbìnrin gbogbo náà Ọlọ́run jẹ́ ká sórí ire lágbára lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run ìlú Erin-Ile ò ní bàjẹ́ o.
A dúpẹ́ ní ọwọ́ Ọlọ́run fún 40 ọdún tí a bá ti wà ní orí ìtẹ́ àti 100 ọdún tí wọ́n ti wà lókè pẹ̀. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run torí pé ó ṣojú gbogbo wa. A dúpẹ́ pé Ọlọ́run wà pẹ̀lú bàbá. Ọlọ́run dúró tì wọ́n gidigidi nítorí pé wọ́n wà láàyè láti rí ayẹyẹ yìí. Ọlọ́run ṣe.
Pẹ̀lú ìrètí pé Erin-Ile yìí yóò padà di ìlú tó tóbi ju bó ti wáyé lọ, yóò sì lókìkí ju bó ti wáyé lọ, yóò sì ní àtẹ̀síwájú àti ṣe orí àṣeréré ju tàtẹ̀yìnwá lọ. Àwọn ọmọ Ẹ̀rìn tí wọ́n máa rọ́wọ́ mú, tí wọ́n sì máa ní ànító àti àníṣẹ́kù.
Ọlọ́run ní balakari yóò máa dá sí ọlọ́run ní ọlọ́run alága àná ni kí wọ́n yé ìṣọmọ àná alága àná ni ọlọ́run ti wọ́n dá fẹ́.
Àti bàbá kójọ náà lọ pé náà tí ẹ bá mi ṣe.
Dárúwò sùn ọ̀gá o àmì gàtàrà àmì àtẹ̀mọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ àtẹ̀yìntẹ̀ ìjọba àríyá ọlọ́run ti wọ́n dá fún ẹ̀ yóò dọ̀mọ̀ rẹ̀ sí ìgbẹ́ fara ní ọ́ yóò gbàdúrà rẹ̀ ọ̀làlá àrùlà.
Àwa lọ́mọ Ẹ̀rìn mo jẹ́ ọmọ sàájà mo wá gbogbo Ẹ̀rìn ẹni kẹ́mọ̀ wẹ́rìn lógún torí pé ìjẹ̀rùn sùn wọ̀n ẹni bá fẹ́ wẹ́rìn lógún ní kó tọ́jú akóde kó tọ́jú bọ̀ òjé kó tọ́jú bọ̀ àkó sáré ẹni Ẹ̀rìn mo jẹ́ bá ta lọ́fà tí ò bá ti kú títí alẹ́ á tó wọ́n lóbi sùkúlẹ̀ bá ba tó ti bí wa lọ́gbọ̀n àwọn ọmọ àdọ̀ yóò máa dọ̀bà girigiri wọ́n jẹ́ ọmọ akókò sùn téégún ọ̀yá ṣe tán ọ̀yá ṣe òlìdílera ṣègbó ṣe tán wọ̀nyí ní kò so ọmọ àdùkó ṣe tó wọlé lẹ́rìn ẹ̀bá àwọn náà ni ó yá ètò ti ń lọ 40 years on throne tí bàbá wa ti gorí ayẹyẹ ipò bàbá wọn ó náà là ń ṣe káàkiri o ẹ mọ tẹ̀lé wa ọmọ Ẹ̀rìn gidi nìkan lápò yìí.
èèwọ̀ olú bàbá ìran ọmọ adé ọ̀sùn o ẹ̀gbà dúdú ẹ mú yìnrín fún mi ẹ̀gbà yìnrín mọ́sà ní tèmi màmá ẹ̀yìn lábọ̀ ìsàlójúdé o ó lẹ́ni fẹ́ egun rí ilé ẹ̀tọ́run ni ẹ máa lọ ọmọ èèyàn tí ń fẹ́ pàkárí ó ní ẹ bá mi relé àkọjẹ nìbàdàn ọmọ èèyàn tí ń fẹ́ gbajúmọ̀ rí o ilé àdé ọ̀sùn ni ẹ máa lọ ọba lómo lóòótọ́ ìlú o ilẹ̀ lómo síkà ọmọ èèyàn tó ń hùwà bòsí bó pẹ́ bóyá Ọlọ́run ọba àmú bàbá ẹ̀yìn gbọ́ tó nífà bẹ́ẹ̀ ní gbọ́ ta láwo apèlújọ mọ́ bàjẹ́ bàbá ẹ̀yìn tún ṣe mọ̀lé bẹ́ẹ̀ ní tún gbọ́ tó nífà bẹ́ẹ̀ ní tún gbọ́ ta láwo bàbá ẹ̀yìn lẹ́ni tó fẹ́ ṣàǹfààní kó bá mi káre ìdí àyè o ẹni bá ń fẹ́ lówó ẹ bá mi káre ìdí abẹ́ ẹ̀sìn ìdí àyè ó dọ̀jà lẹ́rìn abẹ́ ẹ̀sìn dilé àlẹ́ àtẹ́ ẹ̀ bá tán ní mo dé kò kéré ẹni ńlá lẹ́ bá tán gbàríngì alágídí kàkàkà Ajibola ti tẹ gbòǹgbò mi sómi sòrò láwẹ̀ o ìbí ní jọlá àbí tún mi yín o ẹni àbí ni mo ní jọlá ẹni gbòǹgbò ń jọlá tiẹ̀ òróró tí mo fẹsẹ̀ méjèèjì wò lọ́nà tẹ̀rìn wọ́gùn 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 mo ní ẹ̀ mọ̀ wẹ̀rìn ìlógún o wọ́n ti lẹ́ni bá fẹ́ wẹ̀rìn ìlógún ẹ bá mi tọ́jú àgbòdẹ ẹ bá mi tọ́jú ọ̀fà bàbà wọ́n ní ẹ bá mi tọ́jú bàǹtí pèrè tán fi ń jí mọ́ lójú ogun ọmọ tẹ́ni mò dé bàtà lọ́fà àti o